Good to everyone. This is Awesome Radio 106.9 FM, WBISLP, Winterville, Ayden, Grifton, Southside, Greenville, North Carolina. This is the Glenn Johnson Show, Motivations with Glenn and Messina. However, Messina is still out handling personal business. We have an awesome panel for you today, three fabulous ladies, and we're going to be discussing brain injury because March is Brain Injury Awareness Month. So we have an awesome panel in the name of Jesus, and they're going to introduce themselves at this time.
Hi, my name is Kimberly Cartier, and I am a brain injury survivor from 2013. I live outside of beautiful Fort Bragg, North Carolina. And I'm happy to be here today.
Thank you, Kim. Miss Sandy Worthington.
Yes, I'm Sandy Worthington with the Brain Injury Association of North Carolina. I'm glad to be here again with you again this year, Glenn, and looking forward to sharing some great brain injury information with all of our audience.
Thank you so much. And last but not least, Miss Pierre.
Hi, this is Pierre Protz, and I live in Goldsboro. I work with Renew Life, which is a rehabilitation facility, residential rehabilitation facility for brain injury survivors. And my brother is a brain injury survivor, and I work with our local support group and also with the Brain Injury Associations Board and the Brain Injury Advisory Council of North Carolina. And it's nice to be here. Thank you for inviting me, Glenn.
Thank you, and thank you for being here as well. With that being said, I just want to mention something to these three ladies because I refer to them as my heroes, particularly Miss Kim, because like myself, she's a brain injury survivor, as she has stated. And I will read one quote. They work extra hard to help people overcome challenges, boundaries, and set goals. Just the zest that they have for life makes them a great hero. So that's to all you three ladies. Thank you for your fine support. I would like to begin today's topic with Miss Kimberly Cartier with her story as being a brain injury survivor.
Thank you so much for having me. It seems like so much has happened since 2013. I'll narrow it down and kind of give you the cliff notes. Prior to my brain injury in 2013, I was living in New England in southern New Hampshire, and I was a professional horse trainer as well as a firefighter. On September 19th, 2013, I was riding a young horse who flipped over on me, and I sustained my first traumatic brain injury. I was wearing a riding helmet, but my head hit the ground with such force that it split in two pieces off of my head. I don't remember anything for about 3 weeks after. And that led to about a year of rehab. And I thank my parents every day. They pretty much had to come and stay with me because I couldn't do anything. It was a rough year. There was a lot of frustration. I had to educate myself about TBI. One thing that I don't think people really talk a lot about is how much anger comes with a brain injury. When you have so much taken away from you in a split second, it's hard to understand. It's hard to overcome that. When you're rehabilitating from something, you're getting better a little at a time, but you got quote unquote broken quickly. It happened in an instant in my case and in most cases. I wasn't going to let that stop me. I was determined to get back into the fire service and back on a horse and be the me I always was. And it took me about 8 months to realize that I was never going to be who I was before the first brain injury. So I tried to go back to the fire service and had some issues, cognitive issues. When I get very stressed, my wires cross. And I didn't think that was a good situation for me. I was a lieutenant and I was in charge of 6 other people. And I made one promise to them and their families that I would always get them out and home alive. If I went home, you went home. And I started to question myself if I had that ability anymore because I was hesitating. In regular life, that's not a problem. In a life or death situation, that can be bad. So I retired from the fire service and I decided to move to North Carolina. So we moved to Eastern North Carolina and bought a 50-acre horse farm, and I was going to continue to do that and live out my dream. It was approximately a year after we got to North Carolina that I got T-boned and almost killed by a drunk driver and sustained my second TBI, and I broke my neck, and the accident resulted in me being partially paralyzed on my left side. So start over the rehab process again, even more frustration and more anger at having to do this all over again in such a short period of time. But I would have to say the process hasn't been all bad. I've learned so much about myself over the past 5 or 6 years. I wouldn't wish this on anybody, but I've really had to rely on my faith and my family to think that there's a reason that I'm still here and a bigger purpose that I'm still here. I pretty much lost everything in the second TBI, the car accident. It resulted in a divorce of a 20-year marriage. I lost my career, my health, my farm, everything I ever loved and worked for, and that's all I ever wanted to do. So the rebuilding of that has been difficult, but I knew I had to go back to school and get another degree because I couldn't do either of the careers that I had prior. They were too physical. So I got a bachelor's degree. I doubled my course load and I did a 4-year degree in 2 years because I didn't have any backup plan for a career. I got my degree. I got a great job on Fort Bragg, which I love, but I realized if I want to move up, I need a master's, and nothing can put you into a panic of hearing that you need a master's degree when you have cognitive issues from brain injury. It has been the most challenging 1.5 years of my life, but I will be done with my master's in 1 more semester. In 10 weeks. I will have my master's degree. So it hasn't all been hearts and flowers, but it's been a learning experience, and it's been one heck of a journey.
In the name of Jesus. Now, before I let Ms. Pierre and Ms. Sandy come in, I would just like to mention one thing. And I'm going back to what you said about, your life changes in an instant, and you think you can do things, or you wonder why you can't do some of those things. And I felt the same thing because of my accident. When I came out of that coma, after being in a coma for 2 years, I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know where I was at. I had no idea. I just thought I was waking up from overnight sleep and tried to get out of the bed and walk and realized I couldn't walk. The nurse was coming and picking me constantly off the floor. And that's when they explained to me what had occurred. Prior to that, I had no idea. I'm like, well, why can't I walk? Then they explained it to me as well. I didn't realize I couldn't talk because I still had a tracheotomy. But somehow I tried to mumble it out. Then I had to get to the recording studio because they were waiting for me. I was doing some recordings of my original music that I never got a chance to do. And they was all like, what are you talking about? But anyway, it's a longer story.
Glenn, we have more in common than I thought.
Yeah,
I was a classically trained opera singer through high school and college, but when I broke my neck and they had to replace all the bones with metal, they go in through the front, and it did damage the vocal cords a little bit. So I don't sing like I used to.
Yeah. Well, before in regards to that, when the doctor came to me and said, well, this is after they removed my tracheotomy, it left my vocal cords, my vocal folds, and my windpipe all fused together shut. The doctor had to explain to me, after a lot of testing to see what was going on, because I sounded like a tractor trailer coming down the street every time I opened my mouth. Yeah, and that's when they found out I had that blockage. And he explained to me I had to go down my throat with a laser to slice it all back open. Thankfully, it was a CO2 laser, not just like a laser beam. It was a CO2 laser, and I'm sure Pierre and Stanley might know what that's reference to. But anyway, the operation ended up being a success because the doctor said, "Look, you could end up with a permanent tracheotomy for the rest of your life, or the worst could happen." And as we can see, the worst didn't happen, and I don't have a permanent tracheotomy. The last thing I want to mention about that is I am so glad to this day, and I think about this every day, although I don't have my natural voice or singing ability, had I had a directive not to be trached because I was a vocalist, because a lot of vocalists in the entertainment industry have a directive never to ever be tracheotomy because they know they can lose their voice. I'm so thankful that I had never signed that directive. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back in a moment.
My name is Jayla, and you're to see to my papa, Glenn Johnson, on the radio.
Why doesn't the immune system of pregnant women reject her unborn child as foreign tissue like we'd be expected to do? As our Creation Moments host, Paul Taylor, explains, the baby's father has a lot to do with it.
Most of us are familiar with the body's response to foreign tissue. Transplant patients must be carefully matched, and then patients still must be given powerful drugs to prevent destruction of the transplanted tissue. Our body's immune system identifies tissue that's not its own and then tries to destroy that tissue. As we have learned more about the immune system, doctors began asking themselves why a pregnant mother's body does not reject the foreign tissue of the baby growing inside her. The answer to this mystery is not fully understood, but research has suggested some answers. From conception, the unborn child is a genetically unique individual. Researchers think that the most important protection the unborn child has is the trophoblast. This tissue, known as the caul, seals the growing infant from its mother. However, the trophoblast itself develops from the same cells as the infant. So why doesn't the mother's immune system attack? It appears that under normal conditions, the trophoblast is a special set of cells that the body cannot identify as foreign. In addition, the trophoblast makes cells that encourage the mother's immune system to protect it. Scientists now believe that this amazing feature may actually be provided by the father's genetic information. In effect, the baby, with the help of the father, immunizes the mother's system so that it doesn't reject the baby. So even before birth, the mother nurtures and the father protects the child.
To discuss any topic related to the Bible and science with creationists like yourself, we invite you to join the Creation Moments group on Facebook. You'll also meet members of our staff there. So join us today to learn more about our wonderful creator and his awesome creation.
Partial funding for this program is brought to you by Blessed Hands Car Wash and Detail Plus, 2016 Chestnut Street, Greenville. Vehicle inspections, U-Haul rentals, spick and span hand vehicle wash and detail. That's Blessed Hands. 252-413-0609. Open Monday through Saturday, 8 o'clock a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. Blessed Hands Car Wash and Detail Plus, 2016 Chestnut Street, Greenville. 252-413-0609. Thank you, Blessed Hands Car Wash and Detail Plus, for your support.
This is Awesome Radio, WBIS-LP 106.9.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You are listening to WBIS-LP Awesome Radio. And I wasn't paying attention to the clock, so I do apologize. We continue our topic of discussion. March is Brain Injury Awareness Month. I have an awesome panel of very beautiful ladies with me today in the name of Jesus. So I was saying before the break that I'm so glad I never signed that directive never to be trached, because vocalists realize if you ever have a tracheotomy, you could potentially lose your voice, which was in my case. So, but had I had that directive and they would have followed that directive, I probably would not be sitting here today, because it would not, although it would have saved my voice, it probably wouldn't have saved my life. So I'm glad I never signed that directive, and it was able to give me the tracheotomy to save my life. Now I'm going to ask either Miss Sandy or Miss Pierre if they would like to comment on this time.
Sure. We had gone over, there's a very active couple of groups in North Carolina that are doing their best to advocate for a brain injury in our state and for survivors and their families, as well as to educate the North Carolina General Assembly about the needs that exist in this community. So I think my function in this was to let you all know about some bills that were introduced last year and that were passed that have helped brain injury this past year, 2021. Brain injury is listed in the Division of Health and Human Services only sparingly. It used to not be mentioned at all, but now we do have some places in all of their stuff that, you know, it is listed. It's heretofore, it has not been at some of the decision-making tables that other disabilities have sat at, like developmental disabilities, substance use disorder, and mental illness. But we were very successful in getting the Consumer and Family Advocacy Councils to give us a seat on those across our state. That's not in legislation. It is with a state Consumer and Family Advocacy Advisory Council, rather. And so we now are represented at that table, and we can educate people more about brain injury. As Kimberly said, it's a very misunderstood disability. And as I know, most of us have heard, when you've seen one brain injury, you've seen one brain injury. So that makes it all that much more mysterious. But people all over our state, from the medical professionals in our state to our legislators to the folks that survivors just have to work with every day, need more education about brain injury. So House Bill 734 has allowed TBI to sit at the same table as other disabilities, to provide education to our state and to the North Carolina General Assembly. Also, Senate Bill 191 was passed. It's called No Patient Left Alone. And that is a very significant improvement for families. When the pandemic first hit, whether you had COVID or not, when you went to the hospital, you could not have a family member or an advocate or anyone with you in the hospital. And this created a really tough problem for family members with dementia or with brain injury or other people who could not self-advocate. Now it is a requirement that hospitals, nursing homes, any facilities that deal with mental illness or other or physical problems, that they allow a family member to come in and help. And it's a wonderful thing for the people who work at these health facilities and hospitals, because many of these people cannot vocalize their needs. Many of these people, because of cognition problems, aphasia, and other things, just cannot communicate the way that the family member can to help them out. So it will be a blessing for the staff in these facilities, no doubt, to be able to better understand the individual that they're treating. So for brain injury, as well as for many, many, many other people, this is a real improvement. A major improvement to the TBI community came in the form of an increase in the North Carolina TBI State Fund, which is often called the Fund of Last Resort. Heretofore, we had not had an increase in that fund in over 12 years. But the North Carolina General Assembly, we asked them for $1 million increase, and they very graciously came across with a $1.6 million increase. So we were super blessed in that way. That money has already been distributed across the local management entity / managed care organizations that are the arm of Medicaid across the state. And those people are trying to spend that extra money by June 1st. So we are very, very happy that that happened. And there were some very caring legislators that helped with that effort. It was a collaborative effort between the Brain Injury Advisory Council and the Brain Injury Association of North Carolina. to get that done. But I'd like to mention that also there were two very, very important treatises, if you might, as you might say, that came across in 2021. The Disability Rights of North Carolina came across with a document that's entitled Shamefully Inadequate North Carolina Service System for People with TBI. And that was a shock, but a very welcome one, because we had no idea that they were even working on it, or at least I didn't know that. But this really highlights a lot of the barriers to service that people have in our state. Really talks about the really the whole scope of problems that exist. So that was a very welcome addition to the 2021 year. And also, the U.S. is failing to care for traumatic brain injury survivors, experts say. That came out in, it was a Noah Frumsen article. I think it originated in Michigan. And it also talks about the problem that exists all over the United States for survivors and their families. So,
with 2 minutes before we go to the next break, I'm going to ask Ms. Sandy if she would like to make a comment. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen who's listening, our listening audience, please don't forget, we are available at WBISAwesomeRadio.org on the web. Also available on Google Play for Android users and the App Store for Apple users, and also Amazon Alexa. And we are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So please stay tuned. And before we go into the break, I'm going to ask Ms. Sandy if she'd like to make a comment.
Thanks, Glenn. I do want to wish everyone a happy Brain Injury Awareness Month. That is March, and we're excited. Lots of activities going on this month to spread awareness. When we come back from our break, I want to share all of those events with you. I don't have it right in front of me. I think Pierre does, but we were able to get a governor's proclamation this year just to recognize the Brain Injury Awareness Month in our state. Hope that other local municipalities will do the same thing. I don't know if she has time before we go out, Glenn, to share any of that verbiage with us on there. We can do that when we get back. But we're just excited to be here today to celebrate people that are living with the experience of brain injury, that have survived these incidences, and that are out spreading the word about brain injury and making the community more aware of it.
Absolutely. It's all about education.
Yep.
And if I could quote Albert Einstein for just a second.
Who do?
Because everything is about education. Education is what remains after one has forgotten what one has learned in school. Albert Einstein.
Albert was a smart man.
Yeah. Only Albert Einstein could think of something like that. I remember years ago when I worked at Jersey Shore University Medical Center at Neptune, New Jersey, and I was telling one of the people, Einstein had no mathematical aptitude, and he didn't. That didn't mean he didn't know math. Of course, he knew math. What that meant was he was so knowledgeable with math, it just couldn't be measured. So that's why he had no mathematical aptitude. And before we go to the break, I would like to offer our listening audience, whoever would like to make a call to comment or question, please do so by calling 252-756-2008. Don't touch that dial. We'll be back in a moment. Awesome Radio, 106.9 FM.
Thank you for listening to 106.9 WBIS LP Awesome Radio.
The absence of color is precisely what makes my white peacock a spectacular sight. I thought of him today as I studied the ancient biblical practice of renouncing. Hi, I'm Dana Gresh, founder of True Girl. Renouncing means to deny, disown, or reject. It is to remove from ourselves something. The early followers of Christ verbally renounced Satan and sin at their baptisms. Saying yes to the lordship of Jesus involves an associated no. You must embrace the absence of some things, like Satan, sin, and self, to have the full beauty that Christ can manifest in you. See how I thought of the peacock? 2 Corinthians 4:2 says that we should renounce secret and shameful ways. Sometimes the absence of something is precisely what makes it beautiful. For more tips, go to danagrasham.com.
Partial funding for this program is brought to you by The Insurance Gap, filling the gap of your insurance needs. 252-367-8359, providing services to individuals and families ages 0 to 85. We educate and provide options so you can make informed decisions. We're The Insurance Gap. 252-367-8359. Thank you, The Insurance Gap, for your support.
We're back. You're listening to The Glenn Johnson Show. You can reach Glenn at glennjohnsonshow@gmail.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to 106.9 FM Awesome Radio. Winterville, Aden, Grifton, Greenville, North Carolina. I don't know why I just started there. You normally don't do that, but anyway. Christian inspiration for the family and ministry teaching for practical Christian living. We are Awesome Radio. Before I go to Miss Sandy Worthington, I would like to share this for both myself, the listening audience, and to Miss Kimberly Cartier. Joel chapter 20, verse 2 states that God can restore what is broken and change it into something amazing. All you have to have is faith. And I know we have faith, and that's why we're still here sharing this information with you, because we are just ordinary people helping ordinary people to become extraordinary people. That's what we're all, four of us are here today to do. So now, without further ado, over to Miss Sandy Worthington.
And Glenn, I love that. That's a great lead in. One of the things I wanted to make sure we shared with our folks are about our support groups. You know, we have support groups all over North Carolina that, just as it says, they're there to support people that are living with a brain injury and their family members. It's a great way that you can go meet other people who maybe are experiencing some of the things that you are. A lot of the groups, they do social activities. Some of them come in and have special speakers or educational sessions. Some of it's just sharing and caring. You know, how do you juggle the system? How do you work through the healthcare system or the community system now that you're living with your brain injury? And so that support, you know, that's key. Just as we're here supporting each other today, and obviously supporting you in your program and your awesome radio, we want to support each other through our support groups. With the audience or with our guests that are here today, I want to point out that we do, as I mentioned, we have about 30 support groups across the state. If you're interested in finding out more of those, you can go to the Brain Injury Association of North Carolina website, which is www.bianc.net. But in particular for our listening audience, there is a group that's been meeting in Greenville. A lot of people from Eastern North Carolina go to that group. Unfortunately, due to COVID, that group has been meeting virtual. They have the intent to go back in person soon, but currently they're meeting virtual the fourth Wednesday of each month at 6 p.m. I know Pierre is one of the leaders and very involved, and I think, Glenn, you've been attending the Wayne County support group there in Goldsboro. I believe you guys are still meeting the second Saturday of each month from 10 to 11:30 over at the Peggy Seegar Senior Center. Is that correct, in Goldsboro?
That's correct.
You guys are meeting in person right now, right?
What did you say, Sandy?
You guys are meeting in person right now. Is that correct?
We are. Yes, we are. We've had probably about 5 meetings.
Yeah.
Since COVID started to lessen in our area. So, and the Senior Center has been such a great partner for us, because although because of staffing issues, they're not opening on Saturdays on a regular basis. They are opening for us on that second Saturday of the month. So we're the only people in the building, but I just take my hat off to them for helping us in that way.
It's great to have those community partners that you can do that. And, and Kimberly, just so you're aware too, there is a Fayetteville Brain Injury Support Group or Cumberland County.
I've been. That's how I met Glenn.
Yeah, great.
Absolutely.
And Ellen Morales is still leading that group, right?
I think so. I have not been very involved since it's gone virtual. Life's been a little crazy for the past year or so.
It has, but that group is still meeting virtual as far as I know. It's the second Tuesday of the month from 6:30 to 8. I think they normally meet at the Service Source there in Fayetteville. But again, you can find all that information on the website for more support groups. I encourage everybody listening to get involved with the support group in your area, whether you're living with a brain injury, you're a family member, you're a caregiver, or you're just an interested person. It's a great way to raise awareness, to get involved, and to support others in our community.
And I support Sandy on what you just said because, a lot of people ask me once they do find out that I have a brain injury, the number one question is, or their statement is, you don't look like you have a brain injury. And I'm like, well, what is it supposed to look like? You know what I mean?
You're so right.
What do you mean you don't? I said, believe me, I have a brain injury. I know you probably can't tell, but if you look at my head real close, you can see the shape. It's not, it's kind of like off on one side. But my question to them is, well, what is a brain injury supposed to look like? Does it have a color? Does it have any kind of appearance? You wouldn't know unless somebody told you or if I told you. So I do have a brain injury. Anyway, what I'd also like to mention about the support group meetings is I realize how important it is because, like some of the other participants, I got a chance to see some of the different aspects of, other people with their ordeal. And by looking at them, I know a lot of people say, well, I don't look like I have any kind of physical disabilities or mental disabilities. But I'm like, well, I could have my physical disabilities. You probably just can't see, as like some other people. And I think some of the other people that do show signs of physical disabilities, perhaps they might draw inspiration from me or some of the other people. So that's why brain injury support group meetings are very important to me.
It is, Glenn. Oftentimes we call that invisible injury. It's not obvious to everybody. I always, when I was a therapist in rehab, used to say I would love to put a big Band-Aid on everybody's head so it would be obvious. Because it's not, you never know if the person beside you has an injury or not.
The hardest part about this injury for me has been people thinking that you're faking it or looking for attention. I wouldn't wish this upon myself or anyone ever.
And to all the motorcyclists that refuse to wear a helmet or don't want to wear a helmet, I would advise you to wear that helmet because that's what happened to me in my accident. I was riding a motorcycle and I was unhelmeted because Pennsylvania was one of the states that repealed the helmet law. So I didn't have to wear the helmet if I didn't want to, and I chose not to wear it when that accident happened. And then after waking up out of that coma after 2 years, I had to wear a medical helmet the whole entire time I was hospitalized. So either you have to wear a helmet now or you have to wear a medical helmet possibly if something was to happen to you. So just think about that for a moment. Back to Sandy.
You're so right, Glenn. I mentioned the governor's proclamation a little bit earlier. Pierre, do you want to share a little bit with that with us?
I can. Yes, Governor Roy Cooper did make it official that Brain Injury Awareness Month is taking place in North Carolina, and he's recognized it by that proclamation. And just a few things from it is, whereas traumatic brain injury or TBI results from an external force such as a significant blow, jolt, or penetrating injury to the brain, it can also lead to a lifetime of physical, emotional, cognitive, and or behavioral challenges. And the leading causes of TBI are falls, motor vehicle accidents, and assaults. TBI is one form of an acquired brain injury, which includes traumatic and non-traumatic brain injuries, and I'm glad he threw that in, such as strokes, brain aneurysms, brain tumors, brain infections, and anoxic brain injury, sometimes caused by drug overdose. And he states here that whereas over 80,000 people in North Carolina will sustain a TBI this year, and many survivors will be left permanently disabled, public awareness and understanding of the dangers, prevention, and treatment of these injuries and effects on the family are critical to help protect the people of our state. it not only happens to the survivor, it happens to their families and the people that love them. Whereas more than 2.8 million Americans sustain TBIs every year, and of them, over 50,000 die. Roughly 282,000 are hospitalized, and approximately 5.3 million Americans live with a TBI-related disability.
Pierre, would you hold on one
It
second?
goes on.
Would you hold on one second until we go to this next break? And when we come back from this break, we'll have two more 10-minute talk time, so that's 20 minutes. And I would like to go back to Ms. Kim, if you don't mind, and then we can conclude today's broadcast with you, all three of you. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Awesome Radio 106.9 FM. The Glenn Johnson Show, back in a moment.
Keep it locked right here to the Glenn Johnson Show.
Partial funding for this program is brought to you by CT Cleaning Service, 919-345-5823 or 252-558-7306. Nationally certified and bonded for COVID cleaning, commercial and residential, and for all general cleaning. CT Cleaning Service, 919-345-5823 or 252-558-7306. Have a peace of mind that your place of worship, your office building, your home, and your place of work have been nationally certified COVID cleaned, disinfected, and sanitized. 919-345-5823 or 252-558-7306. Thank you, CT Cleaning, for your support.
From the Pacific Justice Institute, this is The Legal Edge, defending your rights as a Christian, a parent, and a citizen. Here's Brad Dacus.
Pacific Justice Institute has been representing a church preschool near San Diego, California, which was shut down last year by state licensing authorities over toddler mask mandates. Well, the preschool got a short reprieve by acting in good faith to comply with the COVID safety measures. But this Christian school was abruptly shut down again and faced threats with the imposition of a lifetime ban of the director from working with children. A multi-day trial with PJI defending will determine the fate of this school.
PJI provides legal representation without charge. Get exclusive email updates by registering for The Legal Insider at pji.org.
Hi, my name is Lola Hunter, and I listen to Awesome Radio 106.9.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for keeping it locked here to Awesome Radio 106.9 FM, the Glenn Johnson Show, Motivations with Glenn. We are going to continue our topic of discussion with 20 minutes remaining. But before I give it over to Ms. Kim, I have one final quote I would like to mention to everybody. And this is for our listening audience as well. For anybody that's in rehabilitation that might be struggling with their rehabilitation, just remember this. This is a quote. Your body can stand almost anything. It's your mind that you have to convince. And that was courtesy Flint Rehab. If you're a survivor, your body has proven how resilient it is. Push through rehabilitation with gusto. So that was from the Flint, Michigan Rehab. And with 20 minutes remaining, I'm going to go back over now to Ms. Kim, and then we'll go back to the other two ladies on the panel. And my final thing before Kim, all three of us, or all four of us rather, myself included, I can say this, we're all a force when we're together, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We could be a movement by ourselves, but we're a force when we're together. Now I'm over Ms. Kim.
Yeah, I think that's important, not just with us, but just with this injury in general. Like you were talking about a little earlier, going to the brain injury meetings. It was hard for me to go to my first meeting. In fact, my first meeting was the meeting I met you at, Glenn. And
that was your first meeting.
That was my first meeting.
I had no idea.
It had been many years since both of my brain injuries, but I didn't want to admit that there was anything wrong with me or that I needed help or I couldn't handle it because I have a significant amount of guilt that I don't look like anything's wrong with me. People look at me and think that, well, you're fine. And then I see people that have different brain injuries, worse brain injuries. It's really hard, I think, and I think everybody that has the injury has some sort of feeling about it, whether it's anger or guilt or confusion. They're all so different. And trying to move forward and have this, I don't like to tell people because it's not an excuse for me. It's not something that's going to stop anything. But sometimes I feel like I need to educate people, and I want them to understand why I may be reacting the way that I am, or why I need an extra minute. One of the things that comes through the most for me since my TBIs is I have a lot of cognitive issues, so it takes me a second. I know what I want to say, but I just can't make it get from here to here. And then people will try to finish my sentence, and then that just throws me completely off track. And the other issue that I have is I have very bad sensory overload. Too much noise, too much activity, too much stuff going on at once. I just have to separate myself from it. And a lot of people don't understand that. Like, well, why are you being that way? It's just music. So, like the dryer's beeping, the microwave went off, somebody's got the TV on, there's a dog barking outside, too much for me. And that just, I think a lot of people just don't understand that because that's their everyday life. And before my first TBI, that would have never bothered me. But little things like that have made going back to work challenging, interacting with social events challenging, having a relationship challenging, because there are some things that you want people to call you on and say, hey, you need to just figure this out. You're being sensitive. But there are also other things that you want people to be like, hey, I know this is a result of what happened to you, and this is part of your brain injury. So I'm going to work with you. But it's hard to explain to other people.
Yeah.
Because I don't even really understand it myself. So, I tell people I'm not trying to make an excuse, but this did happen to me, and I have these sensitivities sometimes. So if they choose to learn, great. If they think I'm making an excuse, bye.
All right. If I could just respond to that, I absolutely know what you feel like because, every time, when I go to these brain injury support group meetings, I look at some of the other individuals and I tell myself, you know what, Glenn, I could have been like that. I could have had that physical disability or that mental, I'm not going to say disability, but that mental impairment because my head had blew up the size of a beach ball with the entire right side missing. That's why the doctor said, even if I did make it, I wasn't going to be the same that they know me to be. But now I can say, well, God saw something else. God said, well, yeah, he's not going to have the mental or physical disabilities, but he's not going to be ordinary that we knew him either, but he's going to be around to help me help other people. And I think that's what it is. So when I go to these support group meetings and I see some of the challenges that other individuals have, I know that I can be a part of the community that helps them.
Well, you offer inspiration, Glenn, and you too, Kimberly. I can't think of a single survivor that has heard Glenn speak or that might hear you speak, Kimberly, that wouldn't be inspired by the work that you've done and the things you've accomplished. That's for sure.
Thanks.
And by the way, we have 4 minutes for this particular segment. After the 4 minutes, we'll have the final 10 minutes. But I have something for all three of you ladies. If you were here, I would have hand delivered it to you. I'm going to have to mail it to you. But Sandy, I'll probably see her tomorrow. If the office is opening, I'll wear my mask. I have something for you. And that one of the items is a blue ribbon, because the blue ribbon is Brain Injury Awareness Ribbon. So that's the, I'm looking for the word. That's the awareness ribbon for Brain Injury Awareness Month, the blue awareness ribbon. So I have a whole pack of blue awareness ribbons, and you'll be the first three to get one from me.
Thank you.
And I'm our boss lady here.
Awesome.
All right, we have 3 minutes before this segment ends. I'm going to give that to Miss Sandy. Then we'll be back with the final 10 minutes for everybody to speak and share something.
Yeah, so I got 3 minutes to make all these announcements, right, Glenn?
You You can start now, and then we'll get you back after the break.
No, I did want to make our audience aware of some things that are going on around the state. A lot of these are virtual, so no matter where you are, you should be able to participate in them. But to help raise awareness about brain injury, places that you can get more educated or just seeing what's going on, we've got some really cool things happening. There's actually a brain injury awareness virtual forum that is this coming Tuesday, March the 8th. It'll be from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's online. It's free, but you do have to register to get the link. So if you go to the Brain Injury Association of North Carolina website, www.bianc.net, you can get the registration link there. We've also got a really fun and exciting brain injury awareness bingo. This is going to be an educational event where people that maybe don't know about brain injury can learn, have the opportunity to learn and get more information on brain injury. But that'll be March 22nd at 2 p.m. Again, go to our website to get that information. Glenn, Kimberly, both of you, and Pierre didn't tell y'all, but she sings too. But we have a really awesome webinar coming up at the end of the month on March 29th that is music therapy in the brain.
Yeah.
And you guys would probably be interested in that. Again, go to the website. That's March 29th at 12 o'clock to get more information on that. Again, we have a special going on. I think I may have mentioned that to you guys with the membership for the Brain Injury Association of North Carolina. You can get a 20% discount this month. Just use code ADV22. Again, go to our website. You can get that information. Pierre was talking about the advocacy and that we did this past year around brain injury, and that's really an ongoing thing all year. We do like to highlight it in the month of March around brain injury awareness, but we really are working on that year round, whether it's on a state level, local level, or federal level. So how much time do we have left, Glenn?
40 seconds.
40 seconds. Well, I won't get too far into it. Maybe I'll get a minute to share when we get back, but
You sure will.
go ahead, put on your calendar. There's a briefing coming up, the Congressional Brain Injury Task Force briefing, March 16th. It will be 2:30 to 5 p.m. That's virtual also. All of these things are virtual, I've mentioned, and you can go to the Brain Injury Association of North Carolina website for more information.
And ladies and gentlemen, keep it locked right here to 106.9 FM, Awesome Radio. This is the Glenn Johnson Show, Motivations with Glenn. We'll be back with our panel after this brief break. Stick and stay. Awesome Radio. Back in a moment.
Partial funding for this program is brought to you by Paint Strokes Paint Party Center, located at 4838 Old Tar Road, Winterville, next to Food Lion. 252-410-1515. Ask for Angela. Open Monday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. by appointments only. Paint Strokes Paint Party Center is where creativity is just a paint stroke away. Offering paint party sessions unlimited. Let Paint Strokes Paint Party Center help bring out the artist in you. By appointments only and invite your friends. 252-410-1515. Thank you, Paint Strokes Paint Party Center, for your support.
My name is Jayla, and you're the seat to my papa, Glenn Johnson, on the radio.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Glenn Johnson Show right here on Awesome Radio, 106.9 FM, Winterville, Ayden, Grifton, Southside, Greenville, North Carolina. We have a panel of highly respectable women today that's sharing the information for Brain Injury Awareness Month here on the Glenn Johnson Show. And I would like to ask the panel one question before I give it back over to Miss Sandy Worthington, and that is the importance of family members being involved with as support during recovery of a brain injury. Because I recall one thing when I was discharged from the nursing facility, and I had to go through, I had an outpatient therapist coming to my apartment. He was more concerned about my memory. He said, well, what is it that you can remember because of my brain injury? That's why, Steve, I can remember everything like it was yesterday. I just can't remember the accident. I don't remember a truck. I don't remember seeing, hearing anything. All I know is I left my house one day and woke up 2 years later. That's all I can tell you. And so he had formulated a plan for me. One of the things was going shopping. And why that was important to me is because did I really know how to shop? Did I forget how to shop? Or what did I need to learn about shopping in my recovery? One of the things was we went to a supermarket and I went to the deli section. And I'm glad we did because I asked the associate behind the counter, I said, well, I need some of that meat right there, but what is a quarter pound and what is a half a pound? What does it look like? She said, are you kidding me? Well, I said, oh, you have to put it on the scale so I can see it. I visually had to see it to register in my brain how much I was going to get. I didn't want to overdo it. So going and taking a shopper list, that was important as well. Getting everything I needed on that shopper list. And if I see more, then I can get more. So I'm not going to bore you with all that stuff right now, but because I know Sandy want to get some more stuff out. And we have 7 minutes for her to do that.
I'm good, Glenn. I want to go back to you. I like the question that you asked, what role do family members play for survivors of brain injury and in the recovery process? So Kimberly or Pierre is a family member. I don't know if either one of you want to speak to that. I can give a professional standpoint, but I'll let you guys speak first.
Well, I know that when my brother was injured, it was 1964, and there were very, very, very few supports for brain injury. And he was in the hospital for, he was in a coma for almost 7 months and in the hospital for over a year. So my parents ended up being his treatment team. That was what was available. He learned how to walk again because my father took him to a Cosmopolitan Health Studio in Charlotte, North Carolina, to get him back on his feet. And, families are the greatest inspiration for a survivor, because that survivor feels that love and feels that caring. And I know, Kimberly, you can speak to that, I'm sure, with what you've been through.
I couldn't have done it without my parents. They deserve an award. I'm probably the most stubborn person on the face of this planet, which has probably gotten me as far as I have after the accident. Definitely. But I just want to reiterate, for as much as a brain injury survivor needs family, it's so important for that family to have support too, because I know it was an incredible challenge and still is for my parents. So it's important that those people seek the companionship of other people that are going through the same thing to understand, because it's a lot. It's a lot to be strength and support for somebody that some days is great and some days is just impossible.
That's right. And I want to share this with you three ladies because I know I shared it with Pierre, but I don't know I didn't share it with Miss Sandy or Miss Kimberly. So my grandson, who has gone on to be with the Lord, when he was 14 months, my son called me and said he had to call 911 to get him rushed to the hospital because apparently he had a stroke. No, he had a seizure. So when they got him to the hospital, all their initial examinations revealed not only did he have a seizure, he also had a stroke and he had a cancerous brain tumor. Well, they was able to go and remove 90% of the tumor. But I don't know how to put it, but unfortunately, he did not survive. He passed at 2 years old. And so I said, well, you know what? We prayed to God to hear our prayer, answer our prayer, that he would take care of the matter. And I think God did take care of the matter, because now my 2-year-old grandson don't have to go through that, because my concern was, well, even if he do survive, how is his life going to be? When they did all that and he had that brain tumor, what's his life going to be? And I'm thinking about the help and support. How would I help him and support him, knowing I know about all the things I've dealt with through brain injury and the support group meetings. So that's one thing I was thinking about for him. But like I said, God chose to call him home. So I know he's in a better place and none of us have to worry about it. I didn't mean to take too much time with that. So we have 4 minutes remaining. And I'm going to definitely have to invite Miss Sandy Worthington back on, because I know she has a lot more to share and I want to hear it.
Glenn, you're so right, and I appreciate you sharing that story with us. You know, sometimes we forget that God really does answer our prayers. Maybe it just wasn't the answer that we thought it was going to be, and that He did heal him, but He healed him by taking him to heaven with Him versus
Absolutely.
possibly
Okay.
what he could have suffered here for that. So, you know, we should praise God for that, as hard as that can be, and really, you know, thank God again for all the families and the family support. You know, as a professional, I saw patients that didn't have that family support, and it truly, truly does make a difference in the healing and recovery of people. And the reality is, you know, your family oftentimes can be your memory. They can be your lifelong support. That's the person that maybe is going to be with you for the rest of your life. And those doctors and nurses that are in the hospital with you, although we love them at the time and they are so supportive of us there, but that's not where you are for the rest of your life. So having that family support is really huge in the lifelong recovery around brain injury. I know we're short on time, Glenn. You know I can talk for this whole hour of this show.
Well, Sandy,
I want to say thank you for having us here and celebrating Brain Injury Awareness Month.
well, you're invited back, my dear. You are invited back. And Kim, I'd like to ask you a question on mine with 2 minutes remaining.
Okay.
So, as a result of your injuries, did you have a problem with your vestibular system like I do? Because my vestibular system is still out of whack.
Yeah, there's a lot that's still out of whack. Some days are better than others. It's amazing the lifelong effects of this injury. I thought I would be healed, and it took me a long time to understand that it's never going away. I just need to learn how to live with it.
That's right.
And manage it.
It's all about looking forward to the future.
Yeah.
And my final quote to all of you ladies is this one, and this is from our former president, President Barack Obama. The future rewards those who press on. I don't have time to feel sorry for myself. I don't have time to complain. I am pressing on. President Barack Obama.
Great words there.
We have 1 minute remaining. If anybody want to give a closing comment.
Well, Glenn, I just want to thank you for always being prepared and willing to give a voice to people on your radio show, because I know you've done that so many times in the past. How long have you been doing this radio show, sir?
I can't remember to tell the truth. I don't remember at all. I don't know if that's my brain injury. I just don't remember. It's been a couple of years. Been a couple of years now, though. I know that.
I've been on here at least 3 years, I think. So 3 or 4 years. So it's been at least that long.
Well, I know that a lot of people have benefited from your willingness to, as I said, give them a voice and to come on the air. You're just a very generous man in that way.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much for saying that. Kim, you have a closing comment?
I just, again, wanted to reiterate both of the other ladies' statements. And thank you for bringing awareness to this, because it is still something that it's not in the forefront. People don't understand it. If you're not hurt in the military, they think you can't have a TBI. So there's a lot of misinformation about it, and I appreciate you bringing it to light.
Yeah, with 30 seconds remaining, I would just like to make one final comment. I would like to invite all 3 ladies back for part 2. However, if you can't make it, I'm pretty sure I can have Ms. Worthington on because she's local, so that's understandable. And we'll share some more information with you because this is very important to our community. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and God bless everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you.
Awesome radio. Yeah, it's awesome. 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 10.9.
Can you ladies hear me? Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, good. All right, we're off the air. We're off the air, but I have staff and broadcast running. I can hit it now if you would like.
I didn't hear what you said.
I said we're off the air, but we're just still live on Facebook and GPAC TV. I can hit the broadcast now if you would like. Or I just want to say, I would like to invite all three of you back at some point. But Miss Sandy, since you're here local, you just give me an email later or call me, and we can arrange something for next week so you can finish your discussion.
We can. I'll have to look at my calendar. I miss not being in the studio. Although this was fun. This was a good way to do it too. But I miss not getting to be in the studio sitting beside you.
I know, because you know what? I want you to be here because you know we're down the street now. It's not the one that was at before. I want you to see what the new studio looks like.
I've wanted
Oh,
to see
nice.
Yeah.
I know being in the studio probably just gives Sandy an opportunity to feed off you and you feed off Sandy.
It's absolutely that way. So that's why I invite you to be here.
Yeah, I think it would be good if all of us could come again. You know, it's something people can't hear too many times. You don't know that they weren't listening the first time, even if we say some of the same things. You know, you never know who your audience is, and they can't hear it enough.
Right.
So I think it's a great thing. Glenn, I really appreciate you giving us the opportunity. I will tell you, I'm not in my office down there anymore. When COVID came, I went completely working from home. I'm remote now, so I've closed that office that you and I had met at before. But you still we can still meet up in town anywhere, and you and I can still get together whenever it's good for you.
Yeah, because I have something for all three of you ladies. In addition to the awareness ribbon, I have a letter of appreciation along with a certificate.
Thank you.
Oh, how nice.
That's great.
For you ladies that's out of town, if you would email me your address, if you don't mind, I would mail it to you. Or Pierre, when I see you, I'll bring you yours.
Okay. All right. Deal.
Sounds good.
Please, Kim.
Thank you so much for having me on. You know, I could sit and talk about this stuff all day.
I know. I'm gonna have to give you a call in. I'm gonna share something with you.
Okay.
I'll be doing that.
No, that's fine.
Ladies, we'll log off right now then, okay?
All right.
Thank you very much.
Bye, ladies. Thanks,
Bye.
Glenn.
Good to meet you, Kimberly. Bye, Sandy, Glenn.
All right.